pandemic. Today, we are going all the way to Tanzania to listen to the experience of Tanzania as far as this coronavirus pandemic is concerned. And we are going to talk to a very special person. She's our sister, Veronica Muita. Veronica, hello and how are you?
Hello, I'm good, Father. How are you too?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Veronica, the concept of this program is to help, our brothers and sisters understand how people are managing life during this coronavirus pandemic. And you know that Tanzania has an interesting story to share with the whole of Africa and the world as far as this pandemic is concerned. But before we go into the discussion, briefly introduce yourself to us, who you are, what you do, and what part of Tanzania you are.
Thank you, Father. My name is Veronica Muita, as you introduced me. I'm a Tanzanian lady. I live in Dar es Salaam, is a non-common city, Tanzania. I work with the Word family of Radio Maria Africa. We have Radio Maria all over the world. So we also have continental offices. So I work for the continental office of Africa. So we call it the Word family of Radio Maria Africa, overseeing all our radios in Africa. We now have almost 25 radios in Africa. So I work with all the radios in promotion with Radio Maria. In other companies, we can call it marketing. In Radio Maria, we call it promotions, helping to raise donations to help our radios in Africa.
Okay.
But my office is in Dar es Salaam. So most of the time I'm in Dar es Salaam, unless I travel across to go visit our radios in other countries. And that one has also been affected by Corona anyway. So we work remotely, yes.
Okay. And how long have you been working with Radio Maria?
Almost 5 years. I started working with Radio Maria Tanzania specifically. Okay. We have Radio Maria in Tanzania as well.
Okay.
So I worked with Radio Maria Tanzania before joining the Word family of Radio Maria Africa. I started with Radio Maria Tanzania in 2014, and I joined the Word family of Radio Maria Africa in 2017 till today. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for introducing yourself to us to help us have a better idea of the conversation we are about to have. Now, Vero,
thank you.
The whole world is battling this pandemic, coronavirus, yes. COVID-19. Yeah. Now, describe to us the impact of COVID-19 on life in Tanzania.
Like anywhere else, Father, we have been affected too in Tanzania, but most of the businesses, let's say a tourism business, was affected. I think with one sector that was completely affected, because almost all countries closed their airports and all that. So people lost their jobs, companies closed down. Like you see, if a tour company had drivers, now what would the driver be doing if there are no visitors? So we can say less work was like drivers, MCs and DJs, those people who work for during celebrations and ceremonies like that. So they were also affected. So like any other country, because most of the activities were banned, like weddings were banned.
Okay.
So gatherings were also banned or reduced. Most of the things were done online. So people lost their jobs here in Tanzania too. Also the fear, the tension, that was also a distraction. The tension, people fearing even to go out, some fear that, maybe they'll die. So you find somebody with fever, just normal, like maybe malaria, but now this person panics, So the panic was somehow also, it somehow also affected people here in Tanzania. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you spoke about loss of jobs, DJs,
Yes.
MCs, drivers, and then the fear that came with the pandemic.
Yes.
Now, how was life disrupted? To what extent was life disrupted? Schools and all that, how are they affected?
Okay, you see, like, let's say an MC who only expected to earn from maybe attending a certain event, and so now this person could not get that opportunity, and that was the only source of income to this particular person. And this person have family, family to take care of. So that means no income. No income means no food.
Yeah.
And many people here do live in rental houses, and they expect that source of income to pay their rent and all that. So no income means no rent, means you're going to conflict with your landlord. And also no income means no food, because you see, like, the government could not feed everybody. Yeah. And also in Africa, I think also where you are, Father, we live in extended families, yeah?
Yeah.
So you find that even our parents do need our help to sustain them. So I don't earn, it affects my family directly, also affect those who depend on me directly as well. And also the social life around, because you go into conflict with your landlord once you've not paid their rent. So that was also, like, for a driver, all the same. Teachers in private schools, at least for government schools, they kept on earning their salaries, but in private schools, some schools could not pay off the teachers. Why? Because schools were closed. So also parents didn't pay school fees because kids are not going to school. So it distracted life somehow. So this led into, panic. Some even got ulcers, the panic itself, the stress, and like, you've no money and you are forced to stay with the family at home. Kids don't go to school, but in the morning they want food. What do you tell them? So that really affected life in one way or another. Also, even for the transport system, like the buses, people stopped traveling. Traveling was not that much. So the bus driver depends on passengers. So if they don't travel, then that means no food for them, because no money for them. So that's also one of the sector that was also affected. Yeah.
Okay. Now, to what extent was the church also affected? Because the church also must interest us also.
The church.
Yeah. How was the church affected?
Okay. For Tanzania, I can say we were not on lockdown completely.
Oh, okay.
We were not on lockdown. Yes.
Okay.
So we were allowed to go. We were allowed to go to worship in churches, in mosques, depending on one's faith. The only thing that we were encouraged to do was to preserve the health instructions given. Okay. Like, if you go to church, at least make sure that you have a mask with you, wear your mask, okay. Use sanitizers. Okay. So in our parishes, for example, for the Catholic Church, in our parishes, you'll find water to wash your hands, water and soap, and also sanitizers. Okay. Yes. So that goes to all the churches in Tanzania, also the mosques. So everywhere people go to worship, that was looked upon. Okay. And also, like in church, we were asked to sit far from each other. So you find like a bench of maybe 7 or 8 people, you are asked to sit 4 or 3 people, okay, or 5 people. Okay. So that is. Also, the other thing is, you know, in Africa, we worship by singing, we enjoy mass by singing, you know, all that. Yeah. But also that one was banned. So like for we Catholics, imagine Easter season, Father, with the great Alleluia, but now we could not sing it because the choirs, yeah, you see, so that's one thing that we missed. Okay. But we had mass all through the pandemic. We had mass. Only that also we were few, you know, we cannot go to, yeah, so that was also somehow affected. And something that was really affected were like events, like weddings, eh? So those ones were also stopped. So the church did not wed any during that at least 2 or 3 months time, like, so weddings were banned. So that one also. So also baptism and all that, all those were banned. But now everything's back to normal. So weddings, baptism, and all other sacraments are taking place as usual. We go to mass as usual, but also still keeping the safety measures as we instructed to do. Yes.
What about funerals?
Funerals also, okay, if that one is also allowed. Family members were allowed to bury their loved ones, but also taking care, you see. So to some places in other regions, only like 20 or 30 or 50 people are allowed to go attend the burial. Okay. So even at home, people are just allowed to go say, pay their respects, maybe give their condolences and leave the place. So gatherings were not encouraged in all aspects, in all events. So even in mass, as you asked first, in mass was affected because we had to have a very short mass, like no choir, no singing, no words. So mass was short that way. Also mass for funeral, all the same. Yeah, so events were almost like distracted for real, including funerals. But family members were allowed to bury their relatives, observing all the health measures.
Okay. Can you tell us the duration for the masses? Did it last 1 hour, 2 hours, or 30 minutes, the mass?
Normally here in Tanzania, normally depending on the parish, one parish to another, mass goes for 2 hours, 3 hours, or 1.5 hours. Okay. So during COVID-19, you find that we have a 40 minutes mass. Oh, okay. 30 minutes mass. The longest will be 1 hour mass. Okay. Because no choir, and even the priest shortens the homily. Okay. So to allow people not to stay together for a long period of time. Okay. And also kids, because kids were also not allowed like to attend mass, because like the way just schools were closed, so they were not also allowed to attend some of other other places like parishes and all that. Okay. Yeah.
Now you mentioned the wearing of the masks. How difficult it is wearing the mask?
Okay, definitely it was a challenge. That one was also a challenge to me. That one was also a challenge to me. You see, I put on specs, yeah? Now with my specs, with this thing here, it was really difficult. But now that was one of the major way of protection that we were asked to do. So when you go into a gathering, let's say when you go to a bank hall, when you go to a mall, yeah, malls are not allowing people to enter in if there are no masks on. Okay. So sometimes you find that if you are going out, you just have to wear it as you go out. Yeah. Otherwise, if you have nothing to do outside, just stay indoor. You know, no need of the mask. Yeah. Okay. But despite it being difficult, yeah, we had to because the era itself forced us to. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, what did Tanzania do right that the other African countries or the other nations of the world are not doing right? For which reason today Tanzania is free and you are back to your normal life?
Thank you, Father. That's a very good question. I will say first, in Tanzania, we fought this war, I can say, in three major ways.
Okay.
The first weapon we used was to accept that there is corona. Corona is real and it's a virus. So we accepted it. We didn't say like, no, there's no corona. No, we said it's real. Okay. Yeah, that was one thing. The second weapon we used was prayer.
Okay.
That's what we did. So our president asked us, plead to all the nation, I mean the country, for a 3 days prayer. So we had a country, 3 days of prayer. Everybody with their faith, but 3 days of prayer. So being a Christian, a Catholic, or Pentecost, or what, so we had 3 days of prayer to pray, to ask God, to cry and say, God, this is what we are facing, please see us through. So that was the weapon that we used. And the third weapon that we used was to conquer fear. Okay. We conquered fear. Okay. We accepted, yes, corona is real, is there, but we did not allow ourselves to fear corona. Okay. As a nation. Okay. So our president will always say, no, there won't be any lockdown. Our Minister of Health, all the same, she'll share the information. She'll tell people what they're supposed to do, and then people follow that. So even the media and all that, all the news they were airing were news of courage, that we can do this, we can conquer this. There's no need to panic. There's no need to fear. Okay. And these three weapons took us through this battle. Okay. Because every time you hear our president speaking, you just hear him say, we are going to conquer this. We are conquering corona. Our God is greater than corona. We Tanzanians are more powerful than this. Just follow the instructions given by the Minister of Health, and please, we will be okay. There won't be any lockdowns. Don't lock yourself in. Just eat health. Just make sure that you have the ginger and the lights. Keep yourself warm. Keep yourself safe. Go out and work. So those were the news that you could hear.
You mentioned ginger and what?
So we had ginger, lemon, we have some, we call them here by our local names, you know, the leaves, anything you could do, yeah.
What were you using them for?
Drinking.
Oh, okay. To boost your, or your immune system?
Yes, to boost the immunity. So drink, or you chew them. And I don't know how you call it in Ghana, but here in Tanzania, we call it a jug, you know, you just warm the thing and you cover yourself in, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, that's African tradition medicine. So we also did that. And we call it nyungu.
Nyungu, okay. All right, okay. So today.
Yes, so everybody, yes, yeah.
Okay. Vero, today, as I talk to you, what is the situation of coronavirus in Tanzania?
Father, I can assure you, in Tanzania, we can say we are maybe 90% coronavirus free. 90% coronavirus, yes, coronavirus free country. I cannot say that it has ended. Okay. And maybe our Minister of Health, our strong lady, can speak of that. But according to the data that she shares, according to what our President Magufuli says, we can say we are 90% coronavirus free. We still have very few cases, but people are still also taking care of that. Everything in Tanzania is now back to normal. Schools are open, universities are open, churches are open. I mean, they were never closed. Churches were never closed anyway, but any other activities in the churches are open. Like I told you, now the choirs are back, the weddings, the ceremonies, and all that. So almost like 90% activities are back to normal. On Monday, the 29th, we are going to open even the schools, kindergarten to secondary schools. Universities are already open in here, and also A levels are open. So I can say, as we speak, we are like 90% corona-free state. We still have the 10% that we have to take care of, including ourselves, keeping ourselves safe, and keep guard. Our airport is open. You can fly to Tanzania.
But my airport is closed.
Yes, ours is open. So if you get a connection, just you can fly to Tanzania. The hotels are open. The tourism activities are open. So we even invite tours to come and tour. Kilimanjaro is still there, so just come and see it. The Serengeti is still there, so just come and visit.
Oh, okay. Now, when they reopened the universities and the students went back to school, were they tested for corona or they just went back to school?
Pardon?
Were the students tested for corona when they reopened the universities or they just went back to school?
No, they just went back to school.
No test?
Yeah. No, for us, we did not do like the whole country test, like testing everyone. But people are advised, if you feel sick, please go to the hospital. And we had centers nearly in all regions. We had centers for that. If you feel sick, please go to a certain place. It was known like that. But we also have we check for fever. Even if you go to gatherings like the malls and such places, you find you'll be checked, your fever. Then you get sanitizer and water to wash your hands before you go in. Yeah. So that's done even in clubs. For those who go to clubs here in Tanzania, it's also done that way. So you'll be tested for your fever, you'll be asked to wash your hands and also use sanitizer. At least those measures are still taken care of. But other centers of ours are closed. Other corona centers are closed and they are back to their normal, like the hospitals are back to their normal activities. Why? Because there are no more sick people. There are no more corona people in such places. Yeah. So hospitals are resumed to their normal activities, normal checking up, treating normal patients. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm interested in the students going back to school. Did they go covering their face to classes or nothing?
For us, okay, we are still advised to use masks, but it's not like a must thing to do here. As I told you, we are almost 90% corona-free, almost 90% corona-free. So it's not that much of corona is not that much of an issue here in Tanzania. I think if you are even following our parliament recently, our members of parliament were not putting on masks when they were in, but they were checked, they were tested, they wash their hands and use sanitizers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Vero, before you bring our conversation to an end, what are some of the lessons as an individual you can draw from this coronavirus pandemic?
We've learned a lot with this pandemic, Father. One of the things that we learned is like, if we come together, we can conquer anything, you know? So, for example, for Tanzania, as Tanzanians, we came together. We believed you can do it. So we fought this thing together. We followed what we were asked to do, and we stopped what we were asked not to do. So this one helped us to conquer this corona thing. The fear, any Tanzanian you would ask, they will tell you they don't fear corona, because that's how we were brought up, by our president, by our faith, our church leaders. That's what we were told in church. We can fight corona. We believe in God. We just need to follow this and this and that. That's one. But the other thing we learned are the new ways of life. You know, we've always been asked, like, together we can conquer this. If we stay together, we can be strong. But Corona told us, you stay together, you get sick. Stay alone, keep distance, social distancing. So it's another way of life that we learned. Another thing that we learned is never panic. Never panic. If we face anything, the first weapon we can use is not allowing panic and stress. This, I think, was the first medicine that Tanzania used. We did not panic. So our neighbors panicked, our neighbors are saying this and that. You Tanzanians are not tested, you Tanzanians are dying like this. But who is dying? Father, I'm here talking to you. My dad is there, my mom, my relatives are there. I can't say that people didn't die. Yeah, few did. But you see, they also had other health problems. But most of us are here. Tanzanians are here. I'm talking to you not as a government leader that I have something to hide. No, I'm talking to you as a citizen. So I'm telling you the truth. Yeah. So we did not allow panic and stress among us. But another thing we learned also is always to be ready, because we cannot tell what will happen next. So like this thing came, it caught us just like that. We were not ready for this pandemic. By January, everybody was like, this year we'll do this year we'll do that. But then Corona came and everything was destroyed just like that. But one thing we can also learn is stress management strategy and crisis management skills. Yeah, how to handle stress in our people, even in ourselves as well, so that we can live happily. Yeah. And our ways of dealing with issues sometimes have to change, you know. I use sanitizers. I've been using it because I travel a lot. As I told you, I visit other countries, our radios in other countries as well. But sanitizer is not a culture of Tanzania. We don't use that. But now Corona taught us another way of life that we are using. Yeah. But also to always follow the right source of information. You know, once you see something on social media, you mean someone can post 10 dead bodies and say, see how Tanzanians are dying. That one even happened. In fact, it happened. Somebody posted on social media, I think that was, the pictures were from, I think, Burundi, way back when there were wars or something like that. And they said that those were Tanzanian dead. They died of Corona, you see, which was not true. So other countries will start saying Tanzanians are dying, they're hiding the truth and all that, but those were fake news, you see. So you should also learn how to follow the right source of information before blaming something. Otherwise, you find that if you can do an analysis further, you find that there's so many people in other countries that died, not because Corona was harsh to them, no. They died because of the panic. They died because of the isolation. They died because they thought that this thing was too big than their God. This thing was too big that they cannot conquer. So Corona gave us something to learn. Yeah.
All right, Veronica, thank you so much for having this conversation with us. If we come together, we can conquer anything. Well,
yeah.
Asante.
Yes. Asante. And one thing to finish is we should invest on our health. Everybody should invest on their health. If we invest on your health, it's easy to conquer a certain disease like corona. Yeah, so should always invest on health as individuals, but also government sector, health sectors. Yeah. If we come together, we can conquer anything. Okay. Asante sana, Father.
Asante sana.